afternoon, everyone. Now, welcome to the second section of our webinars today. That all the topics we will talk about cosmic things and also conspiracy theories that appears around us. For the second section, we will have Rizky, Anugrah, Ananto as the presenter, and Rizky will talk about Interstellar. Interstellar is a title of a movie. It deals with the cosmic world, and it will be interesting. So without any further ado, please welcome Mr. Rizky. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Vigari, for moderating this session. I will share my PPT first. So,
I'm sorry, Rizky. Can you make it slide share so it will be bigger on the screen?
wait, okay. How is it?
Not yet moving in my screen, actually. It's still the same.
Wait.
I think you click the button. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, it's now.
Not yet. Maybe it's still processing. What about the other?
Still loading, maybe?
Oh, still loading. Is it full screen in your screen, Rizky?
It's full screen in my screen.
It is not in mine.
I suppose it's the Teams platform, and it just sometimes I'll just do this in this mode. Okay.
It's okay.
So
you can start, I think. Please, Rizky.
So, guys, today we are going to talk about the movie Interstellar and the theory behind it. So, first, I would like to tell you guys what this Interstellar movie is. This movie was directed by Christopher Nolan, he was the best director I have ever known, because what he made all along is just about the science fiction, and that's the question I ever had. And this movie in IMDb reaches 8.6 of 10 rating, and which is it's high enough. And this movie was made in 2014, and yeah, it was the best movie at that time because of its accurateness, like about it how it tells you guys a wormhole, and how it tells about black hole, etc. Okay, so we're gonna move to the next. What we're gonna discuss here is the movie's plot, theory behind it, and the timeline of the Interstellar, because maybe some of you guys who watch Interstellar, but still don't understand how the timeline is. And so, for those who haven't watched the movie, don't worry, I'll explain the movie's plot so you guys can understand as well. So first, we're going to the plot of the movie. In the movie, it tells about the future, or we can say the near future. We have the exact time here. In 2067, crop plagues and dust storms threaten humanity's survival. Joseph Cooper, a widowed engineer and former NASA pilot turned farmer, lives with his father-in-law, Donald, and his 15-year-old son, Tom Cooper, and his 10-year-old daughter, Merv Cooper. After a dust storm, strange dust patterns inexplicably appear on Murphy's bedroom floor. She attributes the anomaly to a ghost, but Cooper, her father, eventually deduced the pattern were caused by gravity variations or gravity anomaly, and that they represent geographic coordinates in binary code. And that geographic coordinates leads Cooper to the secret NASA facility headed by Professor John Brand, the Cooper's former supervisor in the NASA. That Cooper used to work in the NASA. The supervisor was Professor John Brand, who says gravitational anomalies have happened elsewhere, more exactly in his house, in the Cooper's house. 48 years earlier, unknown beings positioned a wormhole near Saturn, opening a path to a distant galaxy with 12 potentially habitable worlds located near a black hole named Gargantua. So, the 48 years earlier, or I can say the 2019, NASA found a black hole, and NASA found a wormhole that leads to the galaxy somewhere else near the black hole called Gargantua. So it can be called a hope for humanity, because at that time the Earth is dying, and people are starving. So that's why they should start looking somewhere else. They should start looking another planet to live in. So, 12 volunteers traveled through the wormhole to individually survey the planet. And amongst those 12 volunteers, there are only three astronauts that report positive results. It's the astronauts Millers, Edmonds, and Mann. Based on their data, Professor Branch conceived two plans to ensure humanity's life. There are Plan A and Plan B. The Plan A involves developing a gravitational propulsion theory to propel settlements into space. So, in instance, it can be said that it moves the humans to the space so they can sustain their life. While if this Plan A failed, there is a Plan B of launching the Endurance. Endurance is the spacecraft or spaceship that the Cooper will use to explore the universe. So they will launch Endurance spacecraft carrying 5,000 frozen human embryos to settle a habitat planet, or we can say it's to sustain the humanities, but to sustain the humanities by using the frozen human embryo. So, the Cooper brand Cooper is recruited as a pilot to Endurance, and the crew includes scientist Dr. Amelia Brand. She is Professor Brand's daughter, Dr. Romilly, Dr. Doyle, and Robert, Lars, and Case. Before leaving, Cooper gives a distraught Murphy his wristwatch to compare the relative time for when he returns, because as we know that when we are in the space, due to the relativity theory by Einstein, there will be some dilation time due to the gravity change, like the difference of the gravity. So Cooper gives the wristwatch to compare the time. So after traversing the wormhole, when from Earth to the wormhole, it takes 2 years, because the distance Earth to Saturn is so high, it's so long. It takes 2 years to travel. And after traversing the wormhole, Romilly studies the black hole while Cooper, Doyle, and Brent descend in a landing craft to investigate Miller's planet. Okay, so first, I talked about we have 3 astronauts that survive that gives positive signs of the planet. So first it's Miller's, and then Mann's, and then Edmonds. First they investigate the Miller's planet. In this Miller's planet, it's a planet it's a planet with full ocean world covered in knee-high water. So the water is at knee level. And after finding wreckage from Miller's ship, Brand disobeys Cooper's order to report immediately because of her insistence in checking the wreckage, leading to the death of Doyle by a gigantic wave caused by the gravitational pull of the black hole. So in this Miller's planet is really close to the Gargantua's black hole, but somehow the planet is not sucked in because the planet, the planet's orbital to the gargantua's black hole. It's what's it called? It's it's stable. It's stable, so that's why it doesn't suck in. So that's why it keeps orbiting. But that 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 high wave, that so high wave, that gigantic wave is happened because the gravitational pull from the black hole. So we know the theory about the rise and drop of water in Earth. Like it happens due to the moon. It happens to the gravitational pull from the moon. So that's why the water in Earth rise and drop. But in the Miller's planet case, because the gravitational is the black hole, and the black hole causes a huge gravitation. Gravitation, it's so huge, really, it's huge. So that's why it causes a gigantic wave, or maybe the height is 30 meters. It, it's so high. If you watch the movie, you know how high it is, right? And also, due to the gigantic wave, they are interrupted, and the landers and the engines of the plane were wet due to the wave, and take some time to clear, delaying their departures further. Due to the proximity of the black hole, time is severely dilated. As a result, 20 years have elapsed for Romilly on Endurance by the time Cooper and Brent return. Okay, so Cooper and Brent only felt like maybe 3 hours. They only felt 3 hours on that planet, but for Romilly, who stays in the Endurance, he felt 23 years due to the gravitational pulse. To the gravity. Okay, so according to, as I said before, according to the relativity theory by Einstein, the closer you are to the gravity, the slower the time you feel. Like the Cooper and Brand. This Miller planet has 130% of the Earth's gravity, and which is it has higher gravity, so that's why the Cooper and Brand felt the time longer. So the next Edmond's planet has slightly better telemetry. Okay, so after going from the Miller's planet, they went to the plane. But before that, actually, in the plane, in the endurance, in the spaceship, this Cooper, our MC, he got some broadcast from his daughter. It's 23 words recordings. It tells about his daughter that comes in, that draft in the NASA, so it could work. And then there are also some broadcasts about his daughter that are desperate because this gravitational pulse, the plan 8 theory doesn't work. So that's why they are just desperate and waiting. They are just desperate and wait for die to Earth. Meanwhile, Cooper and Brand doing their plan B in the next colonical planet. Okay, so after Cooper watching the recording, they discuss about which planet they will go first. So Edmond's planet has slightly better telemetry, while Man's planet broadcasts positive data. Cooper decides to use the remaining pool to reach Man's planet, where they revive him for cryostasis. Cryostasis is a sleeping bag, which is allows humans to sleep as long as they want, because humans cannot survive when they keep living. They'll have to sleep. You know why this Cooper decides to choose the Man's planet? Because Man's planet still transmitting data, or we can say the astronaut still alive, but the Edmund's planet survive doesn't doesn't give any data anymore, because the astronaut has died already. So that's why Cooper chose the Man's planet. Meanwhile, the Merv scientists working NASA, as I said before, they transmit a message announcing Professor Brand has died. She has learned that plane I was failed, as I stated before, and etc. And the next, Cooper subsequently declares that he will return. He will be returning to Earth, while Brand and Remley will remain on Man's planet for permanent habitation. as the planet is believed to be habitable. That's what they discuss after watching the movie. And Cooper goes with man to explore and inspect the planet. And that it happens in the man's planet. And what they found there is just full of ice, and I don't suppose it can be used to live because it's full of ice and it has so a lot of bad terrain which is bad for human. And also man reveals to Copper that the frozen planet is uninhabitable, as he had sent falsified data in order to be rescued. So this man's astronaut sends positive data just want to be rescued. His positive data about this habitable planet is fake. He just wants to be rescued, or I can say that it's just his ego, though. And also, man attempts to kill Cooper so that he can take the endurance to complete the mission by going to Edmond's planet. So man wants to overtake this endurance. So we can say that the man went rogue because he just wants to save himself by going to Edmond's planet and leave every crew there. He then takes a lander and heads for endurance in another lander. And man dies during a failed manual docking operation, several damaging endurance because he couldn't do that. System is different, or maybe this, that, etc. And after a difficult docking maneuver, Cooper regains control of the damaged but functional endurance. The next, with insufficient fuel to reach Edmund's planet, they use a slingshot maneuver to close to Gargantua at the time relation adds another 55 years. In the process, Cooper and Tars jettison themselves to shed white and purple endurance using Newton's third law to ensure the endurance reach the Edmund's planet. So we can say that Cooper sacrificed himself so Amelia Brand could reach the Edmonds planet due to because if they use their full at that time, it won't be enough to the gravitational pull from the black hole. So that's why Cooper eject himself and then he went to the black hole. He went to the singularity of the black hole. So afterward, slipping through the horizon of Gargantua, they eject from their respective craft and find themselves in a massive tesseract constructed by future humans inside the singularity. Because Event Horizon is the we can say in the like uh what's it around the black hole. Even horizon we can say is the limit where you can go inside. When you go inside to the event horizon, then it ends for you. Died, we can say. You you will be pulled by huge gravitational and it will tear apart your body. But in this theory, in this interstellar theory, instead of pulled apart and torn by the gravitational pull, this Cooper reached fourth dimension, and in this fourth dimension, he can reach the past. He can reach the past and tell tell his daughter not to, not to, not tell his daughter not allowing her father, that is himself, to go for the space travel because he regrets this. He regrets the space travel. Across the different time periods, Cooper can see through the book's case of Murphy's old room on Earth and weakly interact with his gravity. Cooper realizes that he was the Murphy's ghost. So the one who transmits geographical binary code, geographical coordinate binary code, it was Cooper all along. It was himself interacting with himself in the past. Yeah, in this fourth dimensions, explained that he can interact with himself at the past, and also he can interact with Murphy as well. And the next, driven by regret of having missed being there for his children and motivated by love that transcends the dimension of space and time, Cooper manipulates the second hand of the wristwatch he gave Murphy, using Morse code to transmit the quantum data that TARS collected from inside the event horizon. Back on Earth and further back in time, Murphy finally realized that it was her father from the future trying to communicate with her and assisted by the aberrant ticking of the second hand in her watch, deciphered Morse code. In this fourth dimension, Cooper can manipulate the things that can be seen from this fourth dimension. He manipulates the wristwatch, he manipulates the watch, the clock, so it gives a Morse code, so it gives information to Merck, his daughter, about the information about the quantum data that TARS collected from inside the event's horizon. Okay, so Cooper and TARS are ejected from the Tesseract after they have done their job, after they have done their transmitting data stuff. They are ejected because Cooper believed that this Tesseract, these fourth dimensions are made by the future human, the humans that has fancier technology, I would say, the more sophisticated technology than humans now. So they are ejected from the Tesseract, and Cooper is picked up all of a sudden and awakens on a space habitating orbiting Saturn. I don't know how it explains that. I don't know how Cooper made it his true way from the black hole to the gravity none near Saturn. Maybe the black hole was wormhole all along, and then it transfers the Cooper from Gargantua from Saturn, where he reunites with an elderly Murphy. Using the quantum data sent by Cooper, the younger Murphy had solved the gravitational propulsion theory for Plan A, enabling humanity's mass exodus and survival. So, what TARS sent, what 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 Cooper sent in a Morse code before from the wristwatch, it was the information how to do the Plan A thing, about how to do this gravity proportional plan. So that's why they could sustain the humanity by moving them to the space. And also, the nearing death at his daughter now reached about he was about 80 or 90 years old. He told his dad that no parent should have died. You should have to watch their own child die. So afterwards, Cooper and Charles take a spacecraft to rejoin Amelia and Case on Edmund's habitat planet. So afterwards, the Cooper and Charles go saves the Amelia, and so the movie ends. So we go to the theory of this film. Behind the film, there's always a theory, right? Moreover, this film is made by Christopher Nolan, that we can say he has a lot of theory behind his film. So first, about the wormhole. This wormhole is used to teleport the other side of the space. When you casually reach long time to reach another side of space, by wormhole you can reach it faster, because this wormhole, like for the example, this room and this room, the wormhole cut this room and then make it one. So this wormhole, we can say, is a teleportation to make a way faster. Unlike black hole that sucks matter and never give it out, wormhole does suck matter and transfer it out somewhere else. In this interstellar case, it sucks matter from Saturn, from the orbital near the Saturn, and then give it out to the galaxy near Gargantua. So it allows Cooper and Brand to make their own way to the galaxy near Gargantua. Yeah. So, realistically, the wormhole is unstable. So, as the research I did before, there are some research about this Fuller, about the guy scientific called Fuller and Wheeler. They state that wormhole is unstable because this wormhole can only last a few seconds. Like it doesn't take a long time when it opens, and then it will close suddenly, because it will close eventually, because it because it's unstable. And how to make it stable? We should make like negative matter, so it's like an anti-gravity matter. So usually when you drop things, it will fall matter. This negative matter, instead of getting down, it will go. And we should we should give that to the wormhole, but we humans haven't found something like that, so that's why this wormhole cannot be accessed realistically. And theoretically, wormhole cannot be made. This wormhole cannot be made because the humans doesn't have the sufficient technology to do it. Wormhole can only be made when it's only made as it was. I mean, or we can say when it can only be made by God, I would say. Uh, the wormhole will only exist and cannot be made by human. Even though it can, it uses quantum theory, which is it's something that's so small and atom. You have watched Avengers Endgame, you will know the quantum theory is about is everything that takes a little very little atom and even and until you cannot see it. And when we want to make it bigger, we should explode the quantum until it becomes bigger, but we don't have the sufficient technology right now. And the next we will discuss about black hole. This black hole, it has massive gravity and everything that goes in cannot escape, so it sucks. It even sucks life. I tell you. It even sucks life. So and life cannot go out. So everything comes in cannot go out. It sucks every matter in this world. And event horizon is the limit of the black hole. And event horizon is the light around the black hole. You can see. If I may give you for example. So this is the black hole, right? And the heaven horizon is this white things around this. So that heaven horizon. And there's nothing in the singularity. Singularity is what beyond the heaven horizon, because when you go there, it's just black, pitch black. You cannot see anything. Even though you survive, you'll just spin around in a black hole theoretically, because black hole is still theory now and no one can prove it because no one has entered black hole. When even though everyone can, they cannot transmit any data to the outside because it sucks everything, right? If it sucks light, even light, it can suck signal though. And in interstellar case, the singularity was the key to access the fourth dimension. And the fourth dimension before was the dimension that could access the past and so forth, so he can tell more about not to do this and to do that. And so we're going to discuss about the Miller's planet. We know that before the planet was full of water, it's a huge ocean. And I talk about the height of the wave. It was I tell you it was like 30 meters or fourth. It happens due to the, as I said before, it happens due to the gravitational pulls from black hole, gargantua's hole. Um, Actually, if we can say the wave is not actually coming from them, but the wave is at fixed position, and which is due to the gravitational pull, the wave is at fixed position, and the planet is revolving the black hole. So that's why that's why the wave so that's why the wave it come is looks revolving as well when you are in the planet. But outside the planet, you will just see the planet is revolving the black hole, and so the wave also revolves as well. And 7 years, we'll talk about 7 years time dilation due to the relativity theory. 7 years in 1 hour in Miller's planet is same as 7 years in the endurance shift, or we can say 7 years in Earth. It happens due to the gravitational theory, relativity theory, which is it has 130% gravity of Earth, and also it's close to the gargantua, so that's why it has 7 years time dilation. And next, about the fourth dimension. Cooper stated that this fourth dimension was made by future humans, so humans can sustain their own life. At least that's what Cooper states in the movie. And this fourth dimension was accessed by going into the black hole, which is realistically impossible. Because when you reach black hole, you will just get singularity and nothing else. And singularity, what I mean here is nothing. Nothing, like, you know what I mean? It's nothing. Just pitch black and you don't have anything else. And the fourth dimension also explains the ghost Murphy felt about ghosts that throwing book and then gives gravitational binary code, etc. And also, Cooper could contact this daughter because of this dimension, as I said before. This dimension could contact the people in past, etc. Okay, so we're gonna discuss about the timeline. I suppose you guys have seen this timeline everywhere, right? In Facebook, in Twitter, and everywhere else. You guys have seen this timeline. So let me explain. First, the crew went from Earth to Endurance, and then they went to the Saturnus, and it takes 2 years. Takes 2 years to do that travel, and then afterward, in the Miller's planet, due to the time dilation, they felt it takes 23 years for people from Earth to the time dilation and gravitational stuff. They felt 23 years. And then when they do that slingshot in Gargantua's black hole, they take 67 years. And which is, you know what, it happens because they are really close to the Gargantua's black hole, and which is, that causes the relativity theory to work. When you are really close to the gravity, the time slows down. So that's why after the Gargantua scene, the Cooper found out the daughter was already old, already like 80 years old or 90 years old. That happens because in the slingshot they are closing to the black hole. So that includes my presentation today. So about my opinion of the presentation today is, this black hole could actually be true, and I believe about the wormhole stuff. It can transfer people to the somewhere else and I believe that. And also about the relativity theory, and I also believe that because we have already some research of the NASA somewhere else that someone with a twin, that the A guy went to the space and the B guy on Earth, and they show some kind of different age, that the in the Earth they are younger. In the Earth, someone in Earth is younger, and one in space is like quite older. Well, even though the the age between them is not so far, maybe like they are different, like 1 day or 1 month, etc. And so that wraps all of my presentation. Thank you. I'll give the question and answer session to the moderator.
Okay, thank you very much, Rizky. It's a long explanation, as if you really into this movie. Well, actually, it's kind of that you will have meeting at 1 p.m., right?
Yeah.
What do you plan with this? I have a plan. Maybe we can do the question and answer section in the end after the last speaker. What do you think?
Okay. Suppose I'll just do the question and answer after this meeting.
After the meeting.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I want you to rejoin our meeting after this. Okay, Rizky? You can now join the meeting for your lesson first. And I just want to ask, is the recording running in your laptop?
Yes, it's running.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much, Rizky. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry that our second speaker, Rizky, is going to have meeting. And we are going to have the third and the fourth speaker first. and later on we're going to review a little about Rizky's material, and you can ask Rizky again later. Thank you very much. Goodbye, Rizky.
Should I disable recording or should I let it start?
I think you can stop and later you can edit to to unite or to combine the first and the second video. Can you do that?
Okay.
I think you are SIJA student, right? Okay, thank you, Rizky. You have. Okay, Rizky. Have you started recording?
Wait. Okay. It's now recorded.
Okay, welcome back to the second presentation, Rizky, about Interstellar. Yeah, Rizky have explained a lot about the plot, about the theories of the Interstellar movie. It's a little bit related to the the materials brought by Andrea. And right, to review a little, Interstellar is about traveling in the cosmic, which is related to, and also indirectly it is related to time traveler, that in the end there is a kind of twisting time that confusing. Then somehow it deals with when in the future people try to sustain the humanity, they try to find a place so that we can continue the humanity somewhere if it is not on Earth. Okay, so I open the question and answer section. Is there anyone who wants to give question? Please raise your hand. Yeah, Rio. Make it brief, yeah, Rio. We have very limited time.
Okay, so I want to know the Rizky opinion about in the Interstellar movie. There is any skin that show us that about in the world on that movie have a 5 dimension. But right now we as a human right now, we only know that in the world right now we have limit that 3 dimension, right? So what do you think, Rizky? Is it possible that in the maybe any technology or maybe any world in this universe that maybe is more than 3 dimension, like in the Interstellar movie? What do you think about that?
Okay, I think Rizky heard that. Please answer it.
Okay, so more exactly, it was fourth dimension, not 5 dimension. In the movie, it was explained that this Cooper guy, the MC, gained access to the fourth dimension by coming into the black hole. Or we can say that, nowadays you cannot access black hole, right? It's when you come in there, you will be torn apart. But in the movie, the Cooper brand made it to the black hole, and then it goes into singularity, and then it goes into the fourth dimension. Well, theoretically nowadays, realistically, it's not true. The fourth dimension doesn't exist in this world, but it's just a movie, right? I mean, beyond the singularity, you don't know what is in there. So that's why in this movie they made about this fourth dimension, which they can contact people from past. And so, if my opinion, realistically, it's not true.
So Rizky believe it is not true because in realistically it's a little bit difficult to be accepted by our logic, right? Right, like to achieve this fourth dimension. What is it, Rio? Do you think it's satisfying?
Okay, it's satisfying. Okay, thank you, Rizky.
Okay, thank you. But it's always interesting to talk about imagination. That, yeah, it's limitless actually. Okay, probably more question about Rizky's materials, please. Not yet. Maybe you're still thinking. I want to ask question to Rizky. Well, in the movie Interstellar, which one is more prominent in the story? Is it about what is it? I think there is a kind of story about family, right? Or the emotional state of family, a relationship, or is it about what is it? what do we call it? Future fiction, or what do we call it? Or
Science
if you have,
fiction.
yeah, science fiction. Which one is more prominent? Is it the drama or the science fiction from the movie?
Wait, actually, I'm right now confused of what prominent means is. So if you may, ma'am, tell me
Okay,
what's the meaning.
prominent is more dominant.
So, so the question is, which is more dominant in this movie,
Yeah,
right?
is it the drama or the science fiction?
Okay, so if we are looking of the theory related to Interstellar, well, it's not just some science, baseless science fiction, right? It's proven, theoretically proven with like Einstein-Rosen bridge and also relativity theory and time travel about that, etc. So I would say that this science fiction is not a baseless movie. This has some kind of base like from Einstein theory and this and that. But if we're talking about the emotion stuff, well, it's just like, you know, it's just the salt of the movie, right? We don't want full of science fiction. We want something that, like, you know, if the Interstellar is just about science fiction, it will be flavorless. So that's why they add the emotion in there, right? So
Yeah.
this one's more prominent is the science fiction.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's about the science fiction. All right, because if we take a look at some movie, like maybe you watch movie entitled Passengers, like those who are in the outer space, they sleep. They should have slept for 14 years, but accidentally woke up because of error. Yeah, it's more about romance and drama compared to the science fiction, even though the setting was about science fictions, right? Like, yeah, the Guardian of the Galaxies or etc. But yeah, so Rizky thinks it is more about science because it is not baseless, because it's based on the theory that already developed right now. Is that what you mean, Rizky?
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's some kind of theory from Einstein and about the wormhole stuff,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Okay. Thank you, Rizky. Is there any more things you want to confirm or you want to add, discuss, or ask? I think we can have one more thing to discuss, please. Safira, wanna ask something? You are very quiet.
No, ma'am. Just wanna listen to the discussion.
You just listen to discussion. Okay. Nobody, are you sure?
Uh, can I have a question again?
Oh,
Once again.
okay.
Okay.
One more, yeah, please.
So actually, Rizky, what do you think? I want to ask about your opinion. Why do you think that is it possible for us to do something like in the Interstellar movie in the future? Maybe is it possible? But in your opinion, or maybe it's just like it's like a story, or it's just like a movie. We will never can do it, or maybe, or is it possible for us to do it? Maybe in the future.
Yeah, you heard that. Please, Rizky, respond.
Okay, so you asked about the possibility of this interstellar in the real life, right? So if we're talking about whether it's possible or not, well, maybe I could say we can do some of them. I mean, some of theory in the interstellars are possible and it has happened already. But like for the example about the time dilation of due to the gravitational pull, well, that's possible because there are some proof in the some proof that as I said before, the twins that one of them went to the space and one of them stayed in the earth, and they have some kind of dilation of the age. So that one's well, if it's possible in the real life, but it's not as massive as the interstellar. Like in the Interstellar, the duration is like 23 years, but in here maybe we just kind have a duration like maybe a month. You just look slightly different. It's not different, but slightly different. But if you're asking about the possibility of wormhole or not, well, there are no exploration about this wormhole because the wormhole is unstable if theoretically. Well, the wormhole will just open for a few seconds or a few moments and then it close again. So no, if even though if you try your fastest to come into the wormhole, well, so eventually it will close again and then you will be trapped in the singularity and you cannot go back or continue your travel though. I guess that's all.
Okay, so it is possible if only we can find places that has different relativity, right? So like when one day it is actually possible to go outer space which have different relativity, and you actually made it to come back on Earth again. Probably you will find out you are younger than the other, something like that, Rizky.
Yeah, something like
Okay.
that.
So interesting, but everything's still in our imagination right now because there is no proof that this kind of technology have been developed that far. But there is no, what is it? Nothing is impossible probably because maybe what is it? Some possibility is just limitless, but we are limited, right? We have limited a lot of things. We have limited time, limited power whatsoever. But who knows? Later we can develop it, right? Okay, I think that's the last question that for this section. So I will conclude what we have. So for the last, even though this is the last discussion, but this is actually the conclusion from the second discussion presented by Rizky. That Rizky discussed about Interstellar movie, in which inside this movie there are a lot of theories underlying this movie, in which the theories are actually based on scientific research, and it is very interesting to discuss talking about the relativity of the time and the possibility of travel out of space in order to save the humanity. So thank you very much everyone for staying with us for 3 hours. 3 hours and a half. It's a record. Thank you very much. I hope it is interesting. It opens your mind a little bit and make us even wiser and be more open-minded about anything. I believe there are still a lot of things. What is it? A lot of things that still become mysteries about what we have discussed today, about moon landing, about what is it, about time traveling, about UFO, and a lot more things. So probably if you're interested, you can research by yourself and satisfy your thirst of knowledge. Okay, everyone, thank you very much. So at first, the host is Rizky, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
the host.
Okay. So
God.
I give back the time to Rizky to close the room. Thank you, everyone. Please, Rizky.
Okay, so it has been 3 hours in this meeting. I hope you guys enjoyed in this meeting, and maybe some of you guys are bored, and I see some of you are leaving already. So this concludes our meeting. I'll say goodbye and see you next time.
Goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for staying here. Probably you can share the attendance list later and in the group. Okay. Bye bye.